through the eyes of the victim, Shannan. I quietly open the front door of our beautiful, spacious home in the town of Frederick, Colorado, on a deep August night in 2018, trying not to let the wheels of my suitcase squeak on the hardwood floor. The flight from Arizona was long and exhausting, but my fatigue instantly vanishes at the thought that I'm home again. I take off my shoes and take a deep breath, inhaling the familiar, cozy scent of our family nest. Inside me, right under my heart, our future son Nico kicks softly, and this warm feeling fills me with absolute, unconditional happiness. We have a perfect life. I am a successful promoter at the medical company Lavelle. I have a wonderful husband, 2 wonderful daughters, Bella and Celeste, and a pristine home. At least, that is the picture we broadcast every day to our friends and thousands of followers on social media. But lately, I have begun to notice a subtle chill in my relationship with Chris. His detachment, his reluctance to talk. I chalked it up to stress, to exhaustion from work, convincing myself that everything would soon be fine if we could just talk. I slowly climbed the dark staircase, sliding my hand along the smooth railing, and look forward to lying in our bed and pressing against my husband's warm shoulder. I carefully crack open the bedroom door so as not to wake the girls sleeping in their rooms. But as I cross the threshold, the air in the room feels unnaturally heavy, icy, and alien, as if I had walked not into my own home, but into a crypt. Chris is not asleep. He is sitting on the edge of our huge bed in total darkness. Have you ever gotten into bed next to someone, confident that you know everything about them, not suspecting that you are looking into the eyes of a complete stranger? Who did you trust today? I want to smile. I want to ask him why he is awake at such a late hour, but the words get stuck in my throat. In his eyes, which just recently looked at me with love in countless family photos, there is now nothing but icy, empty determination. It is the look of a man who no longer sees me as a wife, a partner, or the mother of his children. He sees me only as an annoying obstacle, a heavy anchor pulling him to the bottom. I open my mouth to ask a question, but suddenly his strong, rough hands reach for my throat with lightning speed. My world, my perfect life, all my dreams of a happy future shatter in an instant, crashing against the cruel reality of betrayal. The air stops flowing into my lungs. I frantically try to resist, beating my hands on the mattress, but his grip is ruthless and mechanical. In this dark bedroom, where we once swore eternal love to each other, I am left alone with an executioner. Through the eyes of the criminal, Chris Watts. Early pre-dawn morning, when it is still dark and quiet outside, and not a single neighbor suspects that the perfect facade of my house has just cracked irreversibly. Methodically, without a single unnecessary emotion, I load things into the bed of my work pickup truck, trying not to make too much noise. To the whole world, I have always been a quiet, obedient, perfect husband and father, a man who agreed with his bright, dominant wife in everything. But this role became a suffocating cage for me, from which I could not find a way out for years, until I met her. My mistress, Nicole Kessinger, my new free life. With her, I felt like a different person, strong, independent, desired. I lost weight, started going to the gym, changed my image, and my old life began to evoke only physical disgust in me. My hands, strengthened by long daily workouts, can easily break any resistance. I physically feel my absolute superiority. My hands, strengthened by long daily workouts, can easily break any resistance. I physically feel my absolute superiority. Divorce, alimony, scandals over the division of property. Why overcomplicate things when you can just erase the past like a mistake in a rough draft? My brain works precisely like a Swiss watch as I drive down the empty highway to the Survey 319 oil site. I look in the rearview mirror and feel neither guilt nor regret. There is absolute clarity in my head. I must clear my future of ballast in order to finally become who I want to be. I arrive at the site when the sun hasn't even begun to rise over the horizon. Around me there is only lifeless prairie, huge oil tanks, and ringing silence. I act quickly and methodically, getting rid of the evidence of my past life, plunging them into the dark, foul-smelling depths of the oil tanks. I am sure that my plan is perfect, that no one will ever connect the image of the quiet guy Chris with what happened tonight. I return home, call the police, feign panic and surprise. I play the role of a desperate husband whose wife suddenly ran away with the children, and I almost believe my own lies. Through the eyes of a neighbor, Nate Trinastich. I stand in my living room and look out the window at the Watts house, where police cars with flashing lights have gathered. Chris paces the lawn, his head in his hands, telling an officer some story about his family going missing. I have known Chris for years. We often greeted each other, discussed cars, and he always seemed to me the most ordinary, boring guy in the world. But now, watching his behavior, a vile, sticky feeling of anxiety settles inside me. I call the police officer and Chris into my house to show them the footage from my security camera, which is pointed directly at the Watts driveway. We stand in front of my TV screen in the living room. I play the recording of the night, and we see Chris methodically loading the bed of his pickup truck at 5 in the morning. I don't look at the screen. I look at Chris. He stands next to me, his hands clasped behind his head, nervously rocking back and forth like a pendulum. He is not looking at the screen where his missing family should be. He is looking at his phone, his eyes darting, breathing heavily. At this very moment, looking at his sweating face, distorted by fear, I realize with chilling crystal clarity, this man is lying. I served in the military. I know what people look like in a state of panic, and Chris is not panicking because he lost his family. He is panicking because he realizes my camera just destroyed his perfect alibi to shreds.
Victims pregnant Shannan Watts, 34 years old, and her two young daughters, Bella, 4 years old, and Celeste, 3 years old. Criminal, Chris Watts, 33-year-old head of the family. Date of the crime, August 13th, 2018. Location, Frederick, Colorado. Investigation details. Chris murdered his family in their own home to leave for his mistress, then hid the bodies at the oil site where he worked. His alibi was destroyed in the very first 24 hours thanks to security camera footage from neighbor Nate Trinastich. Trial outcome. Chris Watts pleaded guilty to avoid the death penalty and was sentenced to 3 consecutive life terms without the possibility of parole. If you watch the actual footage of Chris Watts' interrogation by the Colorado police, you will see the classic behavior of a guilty psychopath backed into a corner. In the interrogation room, taking a polygraph test, he sits with his arms crossed over his chest in the most closed, defensive posture. His eyes dart around the room, he constantly licks his dry lips, and his pathetic attempts to cry look absolutely fake. He didn't shed a single real tear during the entire interrogation. He tried to play the role of a victim of circumstance, inventing ridiculous versions until the very end, just to avoid taking responsibility for what he had done. The Watts family case is a textbook, gold standard example of a phenomenon called a family annihilator in criminal psychology. Most often, this is an outwardly prosperous man with no criminal record who, due to deep egocentrism and pathological narcissism, decides to physically erase his family. To him, a wife and children are not living people, but objects, social attributes that at some point became inconvenient. Instead of going through a normal divorce, paying child support and looking like the bad guy in the eyes of society, he chooses the monstrous path of total annihilation. For such a person, his own social status, the image of a good guy, and personal comfort become more important than human lives. A special paralyzing horror is added to this case by a cruel contrast. On the one hand, their perfect glossy image on social media, where a picture of absolute happiness was broadcast every day, and on the other hand, a rotting black emptiness inside their marriage, where one of the spouses methodically planned a brutal massacre. This case teaches us that the scariest monsters do not hide in dark alleys and do not wear creepy masks. They wear expensive shirts, smile at us in family photos, work with us in the same office, and sleep in the same bed with us. When we assemble a DIY Roombox, we carefully, detail by detail, build a perfect facade. We glue beautiful, cozy wallpaper, arrange miniature furniture, hang tiny pictures, creating the illusion of incredible comfort and family warmth. We want everyone who looks at this box from the outside to admire its flawlessness. But if you look inside, behind these thin cardboard walls, there will be no life, no real feelings, only absolute emptiness and cold, dead plastic. It is the same in life. The most beautiful and flawless social facade can hide a bottomless, destructive darkness that no one suspects until the very end. This was the Victim Path Project. Subscribe to the channel so you don't miss new dark stories before bedtime, where we tear the masks off perfect facades. And if you watch this episode to the very end, leave the code word facade in the comments so I know you walked this path with me. Take care of yourself and your loved ones.